Our Live Well, Die Broke moment features Mr. Rick Fry, who upon retirement decided to take his passion for clowning around as he recently took home first place in the rookie division of the Southeastern Shrine Clown Association Jamboree down in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Rick, we not only appreciate your business, but we also appreciate your passion for entertaining and being a bright and shining light to those children who obviously desperately need some cheering up. So thanks again. Okay, back to this topic of the inevitable debt in the way of taxes you and I will owe on that tax-infested 401k or IRA. It reminds me of the truism of this. In life, there's only two guarantees, and that's right, folks, death and taxes. So, faced with these two inevitable events, sometimes the reaction of us humans is to simply throw up our hands, accept the truth for what it is, and guess what? We do nothing. But in God's Word, we find that's not what four downtrodden fellows suffering from leprosy did. No, as we learn in 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3, these four faced the prospects of death, but concluded the following: why do we sit here until we die? This is a great question and one that we all should take note of, regardless of whether you're like those lepers and currently in the throes of a terrible illness or disease, or whether you are currently one of those savers who, for the first time, now realize that you have a terrible financial condition we call the tax tumor. The question is, why just sit there and do nothing? Notice in verse 4, all four arrive at this same conclusion when they say this: we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we still sit here, we die also. What they decide to do is go where the storehouse of wealth is. And guess where that is? Well, that's the enemy camp of the Syrian army nearby. Their reasoning for getting off their duffs and going there? They say the following: if they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, there you go, we shall but die. But they don't die, because true to God's faithfulness for those with the courage to venture out of their comfort zone and do something about it, these four lepers were not only spared from death, but God shows up by duping the Syrians into thinking a large army is riding in chariots and heading their way. And what do the Syrians do? They flee the camp and leave all the good stuff behind for the four lepers. This story sounds vaguely familiar to the reaction of the wayward son who, back in Luke 15:17, leaves home and finds himself destitute and slopping hogs. And then, upon this sad state of affairs, in verse 20, he decides to head back to his father's house, where at least, he concludes, he can be one of the hired slaves and get some help. But upon his return, what does the father do? We see in verse 23, he lavishes the son and gives back to the son more than he could have ever imagined. And maybe that's you right now. You are so caught up in your own problems and your own struggles and have forgotten the faithfulness of your Father in heaven, a God that wants what is best for us, but sometimes requires us to get off our duffs and go do something by placing our lives and our hope in Him. This notion of realizing that we all must die reminds me of that old saying that says this: a man is not ready to live until he is ready to die. And as a Christian, I fully believe this and relish in the fact that one day I will no longer be here but with my Father, lavished in heaven with all that I ever needed or wanted. But in the meantime, I'm not just going to sit here like those lepers waiting to die. No, I'm going to seize the moment just like Rick did and do something that each day I can confidently go about living my best life and doing what I can for others until I head back to be with my Father forever. The question is, what about you?
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips. And be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.